Hi, it's Local Dragon Lady here. I have a new Blue Eyes deck profile that is King of Games worthy. Also, does Konami use an algorithm in the ranked duels? Let's find out. So yes, Blue Eyes is top tier again. Earlier this month, Konami had their 4th year anniversary celebration and they brought in some Blue Eyes support. So normally I don't go for King of Games anymore. I've already been there numerous times, so it doesn't really have any meaning to me. But when I got back to Legend and I played a few games, everybody was playing Blue Eyes and I'm thinking, gee, like, is there something to this new support after all? So I decided, why not? I'm curious, can I make a Blue Eyes deck that can just get back to King of Games? And sure enough, it did. I had to do a lot of tweaking. At the beginning of this month, I flew through rank 4 pretty fast, but I got hard stuck there for a while. And a while later, I got to rank 5. I got hard stuck there for a while. And that's kind of where the algorithm plays in. This is something I noticed for years, but I'll talk about that later. Let's dive right into the profile. This is what I use to get to King of Games. Not lickety split now, but you know, whenever I felt like playing. So now in my previous stream, I did talk about how Blue Eyes has changed. This is not a build that I'm particularly a fan of. I have two types of Blue Eyes decks. The one I usually play with is my versatile Blue Eyes deck. I have done a profile with this a while back. This is my favorite build. This is the build that allows you to have a ton of options. It has outs to almost everything. It's great for dealing with back row decks. However, as I was playing through Legend rank, a lot of people were playing these what you call all or nothing builds. These are the builds that you gotta try to beat your opponent in your first 2 to 3 turns, otherwise you're gonna run out of options. However, I think I was able to get around that. In my last stream, I was playing an all or nothing build that incorporated the Melody of Awakening Dragon, and I kept in some Cosmo Brains because it's a dark monster. It enables you to send a Blue Eyes to the grave. You can use your tuners to, you know, get your eggs, sack it for another Blue Eyes. Basically, it made your dragons more valuable in the deck and in the graveyard. My biggest grief, and in a way still is the Cards of Consonance, which is very ironic. It's supposed to make your deck more consistent, but in many ways it also breaks your deck as well, because if you open up with numerous Cards of Consonance, which happened to me numerous times, it's a dead card. The most you can really do with it is just place it in your back row to bluff your opponent. So anyway, this is what I did. I used Alternative Evolution. I noticed some people were playing Ultimate Dragons, which is not a bad skill. The problem with Ultimate Dragons is 99% of the time that I went against someone who used Ultimate Dragons, I would beat them. And the reason for that is the Blue Eyes fusion monsters have no protections. The only one that has some protection is the Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. Cannot be destroyed by battle, which is great, but you can still target all of them. You can still destroy all of them. And all you gotta do is have back row. So a little pro tip, if you wanna play Ultimate Dragon skill, if you're going second and your opponent has back row, don't summon your dragons. I mean it. Like, do not bring out any Twin Burst, your Neo Ultimate Blue Eyes. Don't do it, because everyone and their mom, they're playing back rows like Raigeki Break, especially Karma Cut. So here is what I did. Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. It's a no-brainer. Now I did get rid of the Melody of Awakening Dragon. I was contemplating that in my last stream. And I did it. I got rid of the melody, and believe it or not, this deck synergizes way better without it. Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, if you add this with your skill, that's 2 cards you can pop. And even though they cannot attack, you can overlay them into a rank 8 XE monster. I added the Glow Out Bulb. This card is crazy. I did not draw into it all that much, but holy moly, when I did. This is basically a 1-card combo for the Blue Eye Spirit. And Blue Eye Spirit is incredibly important now in this format because there's so many cards that utilize the graveyard, have grave effects. So Glow Out Bulb to me is a must. So we have your 3 eggs, which is standard. You often use this as discard fodder. You also use it to banish, return a Blue Eyes to your hand, to tuner. 1 Dragon Spirit of White. I went back and forth with using 2. I love having 2, but personally I couldn't really find enough room to have both of them in there. It's also a little bricky, so I didn't get as many back row heavy decks as I thought I would. But Dragon Spirit of White, where you have 1, you have less chances of drawing into it. When it's in your hand, it's almost a dead card. It depends. I think I've found a formula that works with it. 3 Sacred Eyes of Blue, standard. You normal summon it. You get an egg to your hand, and you can use your Cards of Consonance to ditch it. Also, if you have an effect monster on the field, you can discard a Sacred Eyes of Blue, target that monster, and I usually use it to get out the Dragon Spirit of White if it's still on my deck. So bam, I can banish a back row. 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. You gotta have that. 3 Cards of Consonance, the card I love to hate. This is why this deck, I call it a all or nothing Blue Eyes deck, because this is the reason. When this card works, it works really well. To me, it's like Buckley's Mixture. It tastes awful, but it works. It works. Yes, but when it bricks, holy crap, does it brick hard. This is the card, Ancient Rules. This is the one that I think, since I started using it, it de-bricks the deck. There have been numerous times that, okay, you use Cards of Consonance, yes, you'll get the effect of your egg, but you draw into all your dragons. When I was starting out in Legend Rank, this is what I was noticing. I kept drawing all my dragons. I don't want them in my hand. I want them in my deck. However, when I was hard stuck on Legend 4 for a while, I began to say, like, there's gotta be something else I could use. And going through all the cards, Ancient Rules, and a little light bulb in my head lit up, and I'm like, why not? Like, really, why? But I'd have to lose. So what I did, I took out the Cosmo Brains, I added Ancient Rules. It made an insane amount of difference. I can't count the number of games that I've won because I happen to have an Ancient Rules in my hand. This makes Dragon Spirit of White a decent card while it's in your hand. It's the only reason. I've had numerous games that they had back row, Cards of Consonance. I drew into a Dragon Spirit of White, which normally I can't stand, but hey, Ancient Rules is there. It's a free special summon for a Dragon Spirit of White. It's amazing. And of course, if I have a Blue Eyes in my hand, if I have a monster in the field, I can swap it out, use my skill that turns into alternate Blue Eyes. So this is actually really good. I highly recommend that you try it at least once. If you don't like it, it's fine. You can remove it. And for the back row, Raigeki Break, you can discard. So you discard with your eggs. You can destroy a card. It can be front row, back row. The most important card, though, is Karma Cut. I only have 2, believe me. If I had 3, I'd be using 3 of them. Karma Cut is the reason why I was able to beat Noble Knights. Noble Knights, in this format, is the deck to beat. It is definitely tier 1. I don't know about tier 0, it's close. If you want to go through Legend as quickly as possible, Noble Knights is the way to go, but I like a challenge. To me, Noble Knights is like the Shinurai's. No one plays Shinurai's anymore, but that is my worst matchup. So yes, I've beaten them a few times, but given the ratios, I tend to lose to them more than I beat them. But Karma Cut is basically how you defeat Noble Knights, because that's their weakness. If you are able to Karma Cut their primary normal summon, most of the time they surrender on me, so it's just a matter of luck. Now for the extra deck, one Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, I probably summoned him only once. The only reason why I have him in my deck is because he's a good way to out a very high powered monster. If my opponent were to get out a beat stick that is 3,000 or higher, and I needed a way to get around him, now of course you will get some damage. He cannot be destroyed by a battle. So if my opponent were to get out a 4,000 beat stick, he will attack into it. I'll take 1,000 damage, but he will banish the opponent's monster, which is very, very handy. But usually I'm able to prevent my opponent from getting out that beat stick to begin with, thanks to the Margeki Break and the Karma Cut. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, critical card. If you can get him out on your first turn, do so, because most of the decks that are coming out right now, they're all graveyard reliant. So if you are able to study your opponent's deck or any of the decks in the current format, and if you negate the right card in the graveyard, that's it. There's nothing they can do. They'll probably either just pass their turn or just surrender, which has happened many times. For Million Dragon Mech Standard, I cannot imagine a Blue Eyes deck without it. It is a generic level 9 synchro monster, just one tuner, one Blue Eyes, and you can bash a tuner and you can destroy a front or back row card. A lot of people run for it when this card comes out because they know that unless they can find a way to negate it, Karma Cut it, or Regeki Break, there's nothing you can do. The Azuri's Silver Dragon. I used this guy more than I thought I would. As I was learning how some of the meta decks now work, sometimes that when it gets to your end phase with a Blue Eyes Spirit, you're in your best interest to swap out for the Azuri's right away because he will protect your dragons from targeting and being destroyed, which, man, helps me. But if you have a normal Blue Eyes or a Dragon Spirit White in your grave, right away on your main phase, you can revive it, so it gives you more resources to work with. Heretic Sun Dragon Overlord and the Sky Prison. Now in my previous deck, I used the Sky Prison, and in my previous stream I talked about how I will swap back and forth. However, I decided to use both. I removed Michael. I wasn't using Michael all that much anymore, so hey, I decided to go with these two generic rank 8s, easy to get out. I used both of these guys more than I thought I would. The Heretic Sun Dragon Overlord, all you do is discard, remove a material, and you tribute monsters from your hand and or field. Very handy. So I've done this to get rid of an entire back row. I had a lot of dragons in my hand, so I was able to discard, detach material, got rid of all their back row. They couldn't respond to it, and I just attacked for a game. Sky Prison is very handy. Very handy. You detach a material, and until the end of your next turn, neither person can special summon from their grave. This card is devastating on certain decks. The one that comes to my mind the most is Luna Lights. Luna Lights is still being played here and there, but it's decreasing because of this card. I went against a Luna Light, and right away I was like, okay, I know what they're doing, so I went straight for the Sky Prison, detached material, and they just quit. It happens every time. Unless they can special summon their monsters from the grave, there is nothing to play with. Nothing. It also works somewhat with Noble Knights. I was able to get him out pretty quickly, detaching material, because the XC monster, the primary boss monster in Noble Knights, special summons itself from the grave. If you have your Sky Prison out, they cannot do that. So yes, this is the deck that I used to get to King of Games. Played off and on. I didn't just spend one day and go through it. I just took breaks here and there. Took me longer than usually does to get back to King of Games, but it's it was a lot of fun. At least I can say that, hey, I basically just want to prove to myself, hey, Blue Eyes, it can do it. So now I'm going to get to the algorithm. So this is not something that I noticed during this dueling season only. I've been catching on to this for the past couple of years. Every time I go through ranked duels, especially through Legend rank. Does Konami use an algorithm to keep you playing and keep challenging you? I'm not 100% sure. This is just something this is a little theory that I noticed. And I'm wondering, have any of you have been noticing this as well? What I think is going on is, as you're playing through earlier ranks like Gold, especially Platinum, the game learns which decks that you have a high success rate with and which ones you don't have a high success rate. So, for example, during this duel season, the deck I did the most poorly against would be Noble Knights, and sometimes I have a big challenge with any deck that the Kumar character plays, because they're using the skill called Masters of Destiny, and what that skill does either guarantees or dramatically increases your odds of winning the coin toss. So anyone who plays that character, they're going to use that skill and pump their decks full of coin toss cards. So they're going to be using Cup of Ace. Cup of Ace is basically a pot of greed in their deck. They're even using Time Wizard. I've been seeing Time Wizard a lot whenever I go against this character. Now, by the time I get to Legend rank, it seems that the game has learned, okay, what ones I do well against, which ones I don't. And each time I get that ding to go to the next rank for the first time I reach it for this season, the game automatically matches you up with someone that are playing a deck that you're not going to do so well against. And you're probably saying, well, Dragon Lady, I thought all these things were random, and like, you are correct. Like, yes, the matches are randomly pitched against you, but here's the thing though, there's thousands and thousands of people playing this game simultaneously, so I got a feeling the game knows what it's doing. So here's the thing, anytime I would get that ding, hey, you win this duel, you'll rank up. 90% of the time, the game will do one of two things. One, it will match you up with a deck that you historically done poorly against, or two, it will brick your hand. And this has happened every time. So whenever I go to rank 3 for the first time, get that ding, oh, rank up, here's your duel. Bam, 90% of the time, it's a Noble Knights deck, or a brick, or sometimes I'll go against Kumar using the Master of Destiny skill. Never fails. Now, I'm going to scroll down. This is what I was playing last night. Now, another thing that it does is, say if you lose 2 games in a row, you'll be demoted by a rank. So when you get the ding saying, hey, if you lose this duel, you'll be demoted, 90% of the time, the game will match you up with a deck that you always done well against, or it will give you a God hand. Never fails. Now, this does change as time goes on. So, okay, I lose a rank up duel. Once I get that ding again saying, hey, you'll rank up if you win this game, it gives you a 50% chance of going against a duel, against a deck that you've done poorly against, or give you a brick. So it seems to reduce itself. I have gotten to the duel where I would have gotten King of Games 3 times. So I won the third time's the charm. It's against this duelist. So what I did, okay, I lost 2 duels. When I went against this person, it gave me an incredibly good hand, and it was against a deck that I usually do really well against. So, okay, I won. I wasn't surprised by that. So anyway, I win my 4 duels. So the 5th one is going to be King of Games. Now, the first time I reached that game, okay, rank up, you get King of Games. It gave me a Noble Knights deck. Fine. I knew ahead of time that I was going to lose because I caught on to how this was working. So I'll play a few more games. Okay, I'm back to the ranked duel again. You'll win King of Games. 50% of the time, you know, a bad matchup or a brick. So the second time I got to King of Games, it gave me a brick. It was the deck I went against was a Gravekeepers. I usually have a great time going against Gravekeepers, but I got a brick. I couldn't do anything. So keep playing. The third time I get to that ranked duel King of Games, I got it no problem. I went against a deck I typically do really well against, and I had a decent hand. So it reduces itself from you get a 90% chance of going against a bad deck, 50% chance, bad deck or brick, and after that, I'm not sure where the odds are, but they seem to be throwing you a bone each time you get to a ranked duel, regardless of when you're rank 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, you know, whatever. So that's what I've been noticing. It used to work the same way in platinum rank when you could get demoted, but now you can't anymore. So you can just keep playing and playing and playing. But when you get to when you get to legend rank, that's when the algorithm seems to kick in. So I don't know. Is it just me that's noticing this, or has anyone else been seeing the same sort of thing? I would love to get your opinion on this in the comments down below. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, okay, say if there really is an algorithm, why is the game doing this? Well, it's easy. It keeps you playing. Think about it. You're playing a few games and you get to a rank up duel. You lose. You're like, oh my goodness, I was so close. I gotta keep on playing. But if you lose too many and you get the ding, hey, this person's going to lose. All right, they give you a 90% chance of a god hand or a easy matchup, so you'll win. So you won't be demoted, but it motivates you to keep going. And it's in Konami's best interest. The longer you stay in the app, the better it is for them, because like, hey, if you're struggling to gain a rank, maybe you need to change your deck. Maybe you gotta spend gems or actual money to get that one card that make the difference. So that's what I think is going on. I've been seeing this since 2019. Every time, especially once you get to that coveted King of Games duel, the first time you reach there, 90% of the time, you either get a brick or a bad matchup. Second time, 50% chance of either a brick or a bad matchup. The third time, I'm not sure what the odds are, the percentages, but it seems like you get an easier matchup or a really, really good hand. That's been my experience, but hey, that's just me. That's what I've been noticing. If Konami is really doing it, I don't know, but it would not surprise me because it motivates both the duelists and the company to keep you into the app, to keep playing, maybe spend some gems and money, and they'll make a buck. So, hey, let me know what you think in the comments below. If it's just me, I don't know. But hey, regardless of what you think, as always, remember to be a good sport, play the game, not the fame, and I'll be seeing you in future videos and in streams. Bye!